The other day, I was working with a couple, both 58 years old, still working, planning to retire at age 65. We were reviewing their retirement plan, going through the usual scenarios: spending, savings, investment returns. They were more than on track. In fact, they were so on track that when the client sees the projections, he paused and then said, "So can I stop putting money into this 401k plan that I've been saving into forever? Not when can I retire or do I have enough, but if I keep working because I like what I do, when do I get to just stop worrying about saving more money?" And I love that question because it gets to the heart of something that most people don't even realize they're allowed to ask. What if you've saved too much? What if you're still saving out of habit even though the hard work has already been done? That's what this video is about. It's not about retiring early or chasing some magic number. It's about knowing when you've already won and what it looks like to start enjoying your money before retirement. Taking more trips, being more generous, feeling free to live without second-guessing every decision. My name is Rob Backrack. I'm a certified financial planner, and this channel is dedicated to helping you retire sooner than you could on your own. Thanks for joining us today, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. To show you how this plays out, let me share a real client case. Names changed, of course, but the situation is very real. For today, we'll call them Fred and Joanna Miller. They're both 58 years old, they earn about $300,000 a year, they plan to retire at 65, they spend around $120,000 a year in just living expenses, $30,000 a year on their mortgage, and $5,000 to $10,000 more on typical costs like insurance. They don't have any pensions, just the money that they've worked hard to save up over time. And at age 58, they've accumulated about $1.8 million in investable assets, 401ks, retirement plans, and other taxable accounts. The question we explored was simple. Can they stop saving now, even if they keep working? Could they even spend a little more and still be just fine? We ran the numbers, and here's what we found. The chart you're seeing here to start is the Miller's base retirement plan, assuming no major medical events, assuming they continue to save the way that they are today, and that they both work until age 65. You can see they're starting with just under $2 million in investable assets. They have a little bit of cash on the side as well that puts them just over $2 million. And these are the projections that Frank saw that caused him to pause for a moment. He looked at these and he said, wow, we'd like to give some money to our kids, but I'm not sure it's so important to me that I pass them $8 million in total wealth. Maybe I should be enjoying my life a little bit more instead of accumulating so much to pass to the kids and grandkids. And that's when the question came up where he asked, if we're looking this good based on today's projections, can I stop saving into my company's 401k plan that I've been putting money into religiously for the past 20 years? And I said, Fred, that's a great question. Let's take a look. So we built out some scenarios to be able to show the Millers the real impact of some of the decisions that they're thinking about, like stop putting money into 401k. And so I'm going to turn on some of these factors to show you the impact on the Miller situation. When we turn on the factor that causes our projections to assume no additional money going into Fred's 401k, we can see that there's a very minimal impact when we project this out over the next 40 years. And so we're assuming that the Millers live until age 95. If they don't live until age 95, then the total impact is even less. Frank's been saving about $25,000 a year into this plan plus the employer's match. So all of that goes away. They're not putting money into the investments anymore, and that money's just going to end up in their cash accounts after tax. So we can see the impact is minimal. Now, the Millers are also putting in $36,000 a year or $3,000 a month to a non-retirement investment account. And so let's also turn off this $36,000 a year. And when we do that, you can see again, the impact to their plan in the grand scheme of things is minimal, especially if we go back to what Fred said about, hey, we want to pass money to the kids, but we don't need to pass them $7 or $8 million. And so far, what we've been able to show the Millers is that if they were to stop saving almost $60,000 a year, and if that money just ended up in their cash accounts, not really growing, maybe 2 or 3% per year, there's a very minimal impact to their long-term plan, and certainly they're not in any danger of throwing off their retirement projections for being able to leave their jobs at age 65. Okay, now let's add another factor here that is likely to be more impactful. And instead of just saying that they're going to stop saving and investing the money, we're going to say that now they are also spending all of that extra money. So the money is not ending up in the bank account at all. They are spending every dollar that they have extra. And let me show you what I mean by this by flipping over to our cash flow page here. So what we can see right here in these years leading up to retirement is that when we stop the savings, Frank and Joanna Miller are talking about an excess of around $50,000 a year. So what we're going to do is turn on this assumption that they are now going to spend on whatever they want every dollar that they have extra. Okay, so there's no more extra money. They're not saving it. They are spending the money on whatever they want. Let's turn this back off. Let's flip over to our big portfolio value. And now let's see the impact of doing that. Okay, now we're talking about a more significant impact on their long-term plan. But if we talk to Fred and Joanna and they say, look, that's great. We can stop saving. We can start spending another $50,000 a year on whatever we want, and we're still likely to be able to pass a few $1,000,000 to our kids and grandkids. Well, we just made their day. They're very excited about this because they're understanding that they've worked really hard to get to where they are today, and maybe they've just done enough to be able to accomplish their version of what a successful retirement looks like. And not only that, but the other thing that I want to add in here is that the values here that we're talking about, this $2 to $4 million number, this is not including any of their real estate assets. So we know that they're still going to pass their primary residence to their kids and grandkids, and then they also have a small beach house that they're going to pass to their kids and grandkids as well. And so we've got them, in this example, living out till age 100, with very little to no risk at this time of them having to worry about running out of money just because they stop saving into their 401k plan and other investments a few years before retirement comes around. Now, since we're already in here, let's look at a couple other scenarios to show you what kinds of things really could make a bigger impact on their long-term plans. Since we've been able to see that just stopping the savings in their instance doesn't make a huge difference. So what if we turn all of this off and we said, okay, well, they're looking so good right now. What if they just wanted to retire now instead of waiting till age 65? Okay, you can see this does have a fairly significant impact, far more impact than stopping the savings or spending the extra that they have, but they're still in an okay position. Their success in this scenario would come down to having a lot to do with how much money they want to be able to spend. It's very clear in this example that the more they want to be able to spend over and above that $120,000 a year, the longer that they'd likely have to work. You can see here, if we turn on them spending $135,000 a year versus $120,000 a year, now they are at risk of potentially running out of money. But even then, we're talking about running out of money into their late 80s and early 90s. Let's look at the spending scenario another way. Let's say that they do continue to work till age 65, but they're going to still stop the savings. And then let's say now they're going to work till 65, but they want to spend that $135,000 a year instead of the $120,000 a year. And again, that does not include $30,000 to $40,000 a year on mortgage and insurance policies. So you can see, if Fred and Joanna want to work until age 65, this gives them a lot more flexibility with a less risk of running out of money to be able to spend even more than what they were already planning to want to be able to spend during retirement. After looking at these scenarios, we can see that Fred and Joanna really didn't need to save any more than they already have. They just needed to see that they'd already done enough. And that moment of clarity, it can be a game changer. One of the most important factors that these scenarios can show us is that it may not make sense to wait until you're retired to start spending your money, going on trips, and being more generous to charities or giving away money to help out your kids and grandkids. It may actually make more sense to start doing those things while you're still working, while you still have that excess income coming in. You've already hit your savings goals, so why not start enjoying that money now with yourselves and the people around you? Fred and Joanna didn't need to save more. They just needed to see that they'd already done enough. That moment of clarity, it's a game changer, because once you stop thinking that every dollar has to be saved for someday in the future, you can start using your money to improve your life today. Not recklessly, but intentionally. And not because you're retiring tomorrow, but because you've earned the right to stop living like you're behind. And here's one last thing to keep in mind. Fred and Joanna didn't figure this out on their own. They had someone to run the numbers, ask better questions, and help them see the full picture. If you're wondering whether or not you could stop saving or start spending more freely without putting your future at risk, that's exactly what we're here to help out with. You don't have to keep guessing, and you shouldn't have to figure it out alone. If you're interested to see how we can help you, there's a link below in the description where you can schedule your free consultation. We'll help you see if you've already done enough, and if so, how to start living like it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.